Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, hi, my name's Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. And before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you are subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you guys have had a great week. And if you haven't, guess what? It's Friday. The weekend is here. You made it. Happy Friday, you guys. By the time you guys actually listen to this, I will be in New York. I have gone to New York for the week. I'm filming this on Tuesday and I'm leaving for New York tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And the reason I'm going there is because I'm going to try on wedding dresses. I'm so excited. I'm just excited to go to New York. I haven't been since June, and not that that's honestly that far or like that long of a time. It's like 6 months that I haven't been, but I love New York. You guys know I was born and raised on the East Coast, Connecticut, New York kind of mixture. And so anytime I get to go back to New York, it is such a fun and special time. And I'm just so excited that I get to go experience all things weddings. My mom is coming. My grandma's coming. We're going to go meet my brother. My dad's coming in the second day that we're there. So it's just going to be a big old family affair. And I'm very, very excited. I'm pretty sure that I found my wedding dress, and I'm pretty sure I found it in Nashville. I'm like 98.678% positive that I have already found my wedding dress. And so if that is true and I come back to you guys and I'm like, I knew it, we can say that I knew it. But we're just going to go because why not? We only do this once. Hopefully. I'm kidding. We're only doing this once. And we're going to go try on dresses. And it's going to be such a fun time. How can I say no to that? So we're definitely I'm excited to do all of that. But it definitely has amped up kind of like my stress. I've been feeling so crazy and chaotic this week. So much has happened in regards to wedding planning. And I feel like I haven't even had the chance to sit down and talk to you guys about the wedding. I know we did an initial Q&A about all things engagements and weddings. But now that we're here and several months have passed, there's been a lot of developments, and you guys, it is crazy. Planning a wedding is no freaking joke. First of all, it's just the entire wedding business is insane. I just have never even realized it or thought of it because it's one of those things that you don't even think about until you're in it. And so I definitely want to talk all things weddings more with you, but I just have waited because there's so many moving parts floating around right now. Even new latest developments as of early this morning, there's just so many things going on. And so I've just been holding off on sharing anything really, not because I don't want to, but because I feel like I want to kind of wait until certain things are solidified. So that's kind of why I've been waiting and holding off, but we will do a wedding Q&A soon and I can answer all questions. I also wanted to point out why I'm not wearing my ring. I haven't been wearing my ring for the past several episodes, I think. Definitely the last episode we did, I don't think I was wearing it. Maybe. I don't think so. I've been wearing it on and off. First of all, I'm not wearing it today because it's getting sized. It was actually a little bit too big for me when Hayden ordered it. Or went to the jeweler and got it, however you phrase that. So we went to the jeweler last week and looked at wedding bands for him and also dropped off my ring to get sized. And I feel so weird going to New York without it and trying on wedding dresses without it. I really don't like not having it. And I didn't realize how much I dislike not having it until I didn't have it. Now I really hate it, but it takes quite a bit of time. It takes 7 to 10 days. So I'll have it by the time I get back from New York. But yeah, that's why I haven't been wearing it. And then sometimes when I'm doing my makeup, I haven't been wearing it because I just don't want to get it dirty for no reason. When I've been working out, I don't wear it. I just kind of wear it on and off, not for any reason other than I'm just trying to protect it. I feel like I'll get to a point in the future where I just put it on and then just don't take it off. And then I'm just it's on. But for the most part, I still am pretty cautious about making sure that I'm, obviously taking the utmost of care of it. So sometimes if you don't see me with it on, it's because I was doing my makeup and then I forgot to put it on, or if I just went to the gym or something. That's why. But no other reason other than that, but I'm very, very excited to have it back. But anyways, I've now spent 5 minutes talking about the wedding and the ring and everything in between. So I'm going to shift gears because as promised, today we are back finishing the What Would Sav Do episode that we started last week. If you don't, do I even need to explain to you guys what Would Sav Do is anymore? Do I need to explain it? I will. What would salve do is when, this is so crazy. You guys know. What would salve do is when I ask you guys what's going on in your life, what you're dealing with, what you're struggling with, what you're going through. And then you guys tell me, Sav, hey, hi, hello, what that is. And I give you my advice. I'm not saying it's the best advice. I'm not even saying it's good advice, but I'm saying that this is what I would do if I was you. And also sometimes it's just like the big sister thing that you don't really want to hear, but you kind of need to hear. That's just kind of like the what would Sav do. So if you want to be a part of the next one, make sure you're following me on Instagram. It is just at My Thoughts Exactly podcast. It's where you will find all things related to like any what would Sav do, any polls, any Q&As, like the wedding stuff, like you'll find that all there. So if you wanted to be a part of that or want to like get updated on that, that's where you can find that. So we're going to go back to the latest story that we did for the What Would Sav Do, and we're going to go through it because, again, part 1 was last week. This is going to be part 2. Okay, the first one that we're going to do says, hi Sav, how to deal with bad body image and trying to gain weight in this diet culture. What would Sav do? First of all, I think that we are in a time in society where I think it's weird. It's like we live in this time where people are trying to say like, oh, everyone is so accepting and everyone, body positivity. And in a weird way, it's like, and I don't know if I'm the only one that feels like this, but I feel like we've talked about body positivity so much, but in a weird way, I still feel like there's this big gap and like divide in actually being positive of all body types and shapes and sizes. I feel like everyone wants to claim they're super body positive, but I do still feel like there is a toxic diet culture. And I think that there's like a toxic environment pertaining to body positivity and just toxicity surrounding weight and diet in general. And I think that, for your sake in particular, talking about having to or wanting to gain weight in a diet culture like this. And I think that what you're meaning by that is that a lot of people are trying to lose weight. I think that especially when everything like Ozempic and all these fad diets and teas and, all of these things get pushed so heavily, and to see that and to kind of be living in a time where that is at the forefront and you're trying to be in your own mindset of actually doing the opposite and actually gaining weight and how to kind of navigate that. The best thing that I can tell you is that this comes down to prioritizing yourself and what is right for you. You need to block out the outside noise of what everyone else is doing, whether that's they are on, a semaglutide or Ozempic or a Mounjaro or something like that, or if they are on these like crazy diets. You need to focus on what's best for you. And if that is gaining weight for any reason whatsoever, then that's what you need to focus on. Do not worry about what everyone else is doing. And again, I know it's so much easier said than done, especially living in a time that social media is so prominent and comparison is so easy. We like compare ourselves to everyone that we see on social media, not even as a choice. It's like a subconscious thing that we do when we see other people living their lives and seeing how other people are, eating and the what I eat in a day videos and my workout routine. A lot of times when we get filled with so much background noise regarding any topic, but especially fitness and wellness and nutrition and food and diets and all the things, it's hard to recognize what's best for us because we see all of these things that are happening for other people and what other people are doing and what other people are eating. And it's like, wait a second, that's not even what's going to help me. What is going to help me? What are my goals? What do I need to prioritize? So I really encourage you, whatever way is going to be best for you, whether that's having a social media cleanse, like deleting TikTok, deleting Instagram, deleting the spaces where you feel like that toxicity is most prominent for you. And again, I'm not saying it is social media, but I know that, personally for me, like that's where I see it the most. So if that is where you see it the most as well, and you think it would be beneficial to kind of block that noise out for a little bit while you get the ball rolling on what you want to do and what your goals are, maybe that would be the best route for you to start at and the best first step to take. Because again, I think that when we get clouded with so much background noise, it's hard for us to focus on what our goals are. And again, when we compare ourselves to what everyone else is doing, it's even more difficult for us to figure out what is going to work best for us. I think that as a society, it's hard because I think that we're always going to have some sort of toxic diet culture. Like it's never going to be perfect. I think that that's just the reality of it. I don't think it ever is going to be perfect. I don't think that we're ever going to live in a perfect world. And so I think that because of that, there's going to be good and bad in everything. And I think that in order to kind of remove yourself from that toxicity, deleting everything that makes you have those feelings might be a good place to start. And then how to deal with bad body image. I feel like, again, I know for me when I was really struggling with, which I just want to put a trigger warning right now, talking about eating disorders and, disordered eating and body image and all of those things. So trigger warning, you can just skip forward really quickly if you do not want to listen to this part and just skip to the next question. But I know that when I was at my peak of disordered eating and when I was at my peak of body image issues, again, for me, it was a mind game, and I had to deal with that through therapy. And what I mean by mind game is I mean that it was me against myself. It was me trying to, I was in a weird way, I was playing these tricks on myself and I was playing mind games with myself, trying to see how far I could push myself and what my limits are. And that was because I had such a bad image of myself and a bad view of myself. And I didn't think that I was valuable for anything beyond just what I looked like and my body and what I presented to others. And I realized over time that is the farthest thing from the truth. What I look like is like the least interesting thing about me. And I think that that's, something that I strive for. I don't think that when we look at, ourselves, that should be at the forefront, but I do understand having this feeling and this weight of feeling like just unhappy with yourself and unhappy with your body and unhappy with what you see in the mirror. And I think that that's an overtime thing where over time you will start to feel more confident and feel better about yourself the more you put in practices and principles that will help you and the more you prioritize yourself. So figuring out what workouts work best for you. Is that strength training? Is that Pilates? Is that doing a yoga class? Like figuring out where you want to stray that way. And then also figuring out what diet you want. Do you want an all protein diet? Do you want to do Mediterranean style? Do you want to do keto, gluten-free? Or you just say, fuck it all. Don't do a diet. Don't worry about, what workout class I'm going to do. I'm just going to do what makes me feel good. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to where I feel the best. I'm going to take steps that make me feel, the highest version of myself, the best version of myself. I think that what you really need to understand is that this is going to be a journey of self-discovery and self-love and self-growth. And that's going to come with ups and downs. It's going to come with its own set of hiccups. But if you remind yourself at the end of the day that you just need to listen to yourself and listen to your body, listen to what your body needs as far as nutrients and, exercise, and everything else will fall into place after that. Again, when it comes to the background noise and the comparison and the bad body image, I think that a lot of that, again, I think bad body image and comparison go hand in hand. And I think a big part of the comparison, this is just me personally, I think it's social media. I think social media has done a lot of harm for us in our minds pertaining to how we view ourselves and our own self-worth, how we view our own self-worth. And I think that maybe having a cleanse of all of that and really taking the next, even like, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 3 months, it could be a year, whatever you want it to be, but taking it day by day and figuring out what's going to be best for you. And also reminding yourself that you are worth so much more than what you see in the mirror. And I think that it's a hard thing to grasp because obviously when we look in the mirror, our body is the first thing that we see. But again, I think it's, you have to look at what's past that, what else you offer, what else you bring to the table, your personality, your character, your heart. Those are the things that really, really matter at the end of the day. So I'm with you on this journey of self-love and self-discovery and, through the hiccups that are going to come naturally with the body image and with, navigating this diet culture. But I do think that it's a day by day thing. Give yourself grace and time through it. But I have all the faith in the world that you will be able to do that. Okay, next one. My friends with benefits ghosted me after having sex. He's giving minimal to no contact. What would Sav do? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a friends with benefits. This is going to be the advice. This is what I'm talking about. The advice you don't want to hear, but I'm going to tell you anyways. It's a friends with benefits. There is nothing that you can really expect out of a friends with benefits. And I think that that's something that I could do a whole episode. I think we need to on friends with benefits, because I think that people are getting lines blurred regarding, what should be expected for friends with benefits. The reason that friends with benefits exists is so you can give minimal effort while also getting the benefits of the physical part of the relationship. It's having your cake and eating it too for someone who does not want to be in a relationship. Friends with benefits is like the best thing ever for someone who doesn't want to be in a relationship. But at the same time, I think friends with benefits is always tricky personally, because I think someone always gets attached. I think feelings always get involved. Very rarely can friends with benefits be done without any sort of hiccup in the mix. So what would I do in this situation? I wouldn't do anything. I would keep it moving, because I don't think that there's anything that can be done. I mean, I think it depends. It depends if you really want to say something, depending on how close your friendship is and how close you were before this. If you want to say, hey, I just think that this was kind of, messed up that we did this and then I just don't hear from you. Like, I think that that's weird. But I also think that that shows that you might have more of an emotional attachment than you may have initially thought, or maybe that developed afterwards. I think you need to ask yourself that question. Did you go into this thinking that maybe this, opening the door to a physical relationship could have potentially opened the door to something else, like a full-on emotional relationship? So I think that you do need to ask yourself those questions, because in reality, at the end of the day, they did not do anything wrong. Ghosting you after sleeping with you, even though, do I think it's morally right? No. Technically, is there anything wrong with it though? Also no, because there is no commitment here. So if you do want that and you do want this to continue and you want it to continue with this person, maybe you go to them and you say, hey, listen, I want to be friends with benefits. I like what we have going on, but also as a part of that, something that I would actually appreciate is just, a little bit of a check-in afterwards, or, a little bit of communication here and there. But from what it sounds like you want more contact than they are willing to give you. And I think you need to ask yourself, because of that, are you fighting fire with fire? Is there a possibility that you might want this to be something more? Because if you're truthfully okay with it being a friends with benefits, then you should be okay with no contact or minimal contact. Granted, some might say that I'm wrong in that, and maybe I am. But from my experience with friends and with benefits, that's just kind of how the game is played. That's kind of how it works. You have to, and I guess you don't have to be okay with it. You don't have to do it. No one's like forcing you to be a friends with benefits with whoever, you want to do that with. But I think that understanding what it is going into it is really important. That way you don't get to this point where you feel like, oh, like I kind of wish that they would say something. Why aren't they saying something? And I think that comes, the more friends with benefits that you have, I feel like I'm exposing myself, the more that you might that might resonate a little bit more. I know with my first friends with benefits, that I felt that, like, if I didn't feel like we were talking in between, or if I felt like very little communication was had, I was like, what is going on? Like, why aren't we talking? But then the more I did these casual hookup friends with benefit situations, I was like, oh, this is the name of the game. This is what it is. If you don't want that and you actually want to explore a relationship, that's a totally different conversation. Do I think a world can exist? Because I feel like there's going to be someone out there that says, you can be friends with benefits, but it's respect. You should be able to communicate, and you should have that conversation, and there should be communication in between, because it shows respect and it's morally right. I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just going to get ahead of that right now. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that for the most part, friends with benefits, this is just kind of what it is. And if you want more than that, then you need to communicate that, because then we're kind of entering into the situationship talking stage level. To me, this is how it goes. I see friends with strangers, one night stands, friends with benefits, talking stage, situationship, exclusivity, boyfriend, girlfriend, and then beyond. That's kind of like how I see the ladder. And so wherever, and there's categories and qualifications in each of those, each of those tiers. So if you actually do want a more of an emotional connection, maybe you're looking for more of a situationship and like a talking stage. Maybe you actually do want to be official with someone. Maybe you want an actual relationship. I would ask yourself what it is exactly you're looking for, because I think that that's going to answer a lot of these questions. But as far as like, maybe I should say this. I think that in situations like this, when you get to this point of like you're in a friends with benefits and then you don't hear from them, oftentimes it's easy to look to yourself and be like, did I do something wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. You're a 10 out of 10. Don't question that. Don't make this question your value or your worth or anything. This is just kind of how this goes. This is how the friends with benefits thing goes. So that's my piece on that. I feel like I spent 10 minutes talking about it, but that's my piece. My ex is trying to come back after I've moved on to someone else. He calls and texts me crying. I think you need to block him. That's what I would do. In a situation like this, when you have moved on with someone else, and if you are like 100% positive, you want to shut the door with the ex, we're shutting the door, we're moving on. There is no reason in my mind that you should not block the ex if the ex is consistently calling and texting you crying. That's not your problem anymore. That is not your issue. I feel very cutthroat today. Maybe I need to chill out, but I feel like that's not your problem. And I don't feel like that's something that you have to deal with or try and like navigate. That's their problem. If they're not over it, if they haven't figured it out, okay, sorry, but you have moved on. And I think that your ex should respect that enough to give you the space to be able to move on and be in a happy and healthy relationship. If they're not happy about that, then oh well, but there's got to be a little bit of a line that's drawn. I think that if you don't want to block them, then sending them a message saying, listen, I understand that you're still struggling to navigate through this stage, and I'm sorry that our relationship did not work out for whatever the reason was, but I need you to understand or at least respect the fact that I am moving on and I am in a new relationship now. I'm very happy and I want to be able to enter into this new chapter with happiness and not feel like I'm being pulled back or not feeling like, you are disrupting that. Sorry, again, that's cutthroat, but I mean, at the end of the day. And again, you do have to ask yourself, is there a reason you haven't blocked him yet? Not to open that door, but I'm just saying, I think that in order for you to fully be able to be present in your relationship, that door has to shut. So whether that is you communicating in a nice but firm way, like, listen, we had our relationship. I'm sorry that it ended. I have moved on. Like, please respect that. If that does not work, block, automatic block. Because here's the thing, someone who loves you and wants the best for you should respect your choices moving forward. If the relationship didn't work for whatever reason, everyone's got to be able to like understand that and move on. And if you cannot be present and happy in the relationship that you're in and you want to be this new relationship, then you've got to figure out a way to cut the cord on that. Whether again, that's sending the nice but firm text, or whether that is just blocking altogether. That's what I would do. Hi, Sav. It's me again. I submitted the What Would Sav Do question about my very low libido and how I was not feeling in the mood whatsoever with my husband, and I have some updates. I've tried prioritizing date nights, even at-home ones, and making it a priority, spending quality time together, etc., and I still have nothing to show for it. I've been to the doctor, and they say everything checks out. I don't know what to do. I want to have spicy time with him, but my body just isn't feeling it at all, and sometimes my mind isn't either. I don't know if it's me or him or both of us, but I'm a fairly healthy person, and I've been to multiple doctors about this, and they say everything is normal, so I'm not sure what to do. What would Sav do? Okay. First of all, I mean, no one's going to be surprised when I say this. I'm not a doctor. Big shocker. But I do think that, first of all, I really think it's amazing that you are taking your health into your own hands and making it a priority and going to doctors and having this conversation with them, because I think that this is a really important thing to talk about. And I think that if I were you, I would continue. This is probably not going to help. I would continue to go to doctors. I would continue to go to doctors until you have some sort of a plan with someone that you like and you trust and that you feel heard and listened to. If you don't already, if you do and you're like, Sav, I've done that. I like my doctors. I tried it. I heard them. They listened. All was well. And they said nothing was wrong. Great. Okay. Let's check the box on that. I think that my next piece of advice for you and my next suggestion for you would be to try. And I feel like people are going to think that this is crazy, but I would honestly try. I see so many little like ads for like libido chocolates and candies and wines and things like that. I would try that. I would see if those work. There's pills that you could take, libido pills that are available. Some are even like over the counter, or you can buy them online. I would start taking supplements like that and seeing if that changes anything. That's where I would turn my focus to now. I also think, and I do want to point out, I am not telling you that this is in your mind whatsoever. I just want to make that very clear. I know that this is a very real thing and a very real feeling and a very, obviously not something that you want to be dealing with. So I'm not trying to minimize it at all. But I do think that the more you think about this, the more it's at the forefront of your mind, the more you question why you're not in the mood. It's a cycle. It's the cycle of why am I not in the mood? Then you start hyper analyzing why. And then you start getting on to yourself for not being in the mood. Then you start thinking it's a problem within yourself. And then it's a cycle, and it keeps going and going and going. And you're going to stress about it. And the more that you stress about it, probably the less likely to be in the mood you're going to be. If I were you, what I would try and do is I would try my best to relax my mind from this topic and relax my mind from this period. I would order some supplements. I would order some like fun chocolate candy things that you and your husband can take on a fun date night. Try that out together. See how that makes you feel. I would start taking supplements. Obviously, you can go to your doctors and say, which ones do you recommend? Which ones do you think will work? What do you think that I should take? I would do that. I would ask that question. And then I would try after that, once I start taking these supplements and once I I would order some like fun chocolate or candy or like all those things that you see online and see what works. Obviously read reviews and like make sure it's legit, but there are definitely things out there that can try and help with this. I would try those and I would see what happens. I would also, while I'm doing that, while I'm testing out these supplements, and again, please go to the doctor and ask your doctor what supplements that you should take. And I'm not advising that I'm just saying, while do your research on which supplements you do want to take. If you want to take any at all, again, you don't have to do any of this. This is just what I would do. I would go to the doctor, ask what they think. And then I would just try to relax, which I know is like, how are you supposed to relax with all of this? But I would just try and get my mind off of the topic and off of what is going on. Because again, I do think that there's something to be said about the cycle. And instead of looking at it as like such a negative thing, or like something to harp on and stress on, I would kind of make it like a fun conquest. Perspective. I would shift my perspective and I would be like, okay, I'm going to try this and see if this works. Okay, cool. I'm going to try this and see if that works. This is fun and exciting. I would try and shift the perspective a little bit while you're trying out these new things and implementing these new ideas. There's fun games that you could play, little like couples date night games. There's a bunch of different little things that you can incorporate that make things feel different and exciting and fun and sexy and all of the things. That's kind of where I would start. And if you go through all of that and you still don't feel anything, then I would go to your doctors again and say, I know you don't think anything is wrong, but we gotta go deeper here. Like we got another layer to go through, because I think that oftentimes when we approach doctors with really any issue, we get told that it's in our head and we get told that it's anxiety and we get told that, oh, we're overthinking it and oh this and oh that. And this is not to like tell you that there is something wrong with you. I'm not saying that there is, but I'm just saying that if you truly feel in your gut that there is something going on, listen to that and go to the doctors and, say, we got to run tests again, or we got to figure this out. We got to go deeper with this because clearly there's something not completely, I feel like something is off. And, again, I'm sure, like you said, you got your hormones tested. Finding a doctor that you trust where you feel like you can have this conversation and you feel like you're being heard is really, really important. And if you have that, great. I would try out some of the stuff that I said. I would go to that doctor that you trust and say, what supplements do you think that I should try if that's a route you want to take? And again, they could be natural supplements. There's all different types of things on the market. So that's the route that I would take. I am wishing you all the best of luck, and hopefully I hear an update soon. Hi, Sav. I've been so stressed out with everything in life. Our new apartment management is increasing prices. This is my boyfriend and I's first apartment. My crochet business, money being tight, my job not giving me my raise that I was promised. I just got my birth control taken out, so I'm dealing with everything that comes along with that. Even making dinner comes as a stress. Everything is just hitting all at once. And trust me, girl, the everything shower can only do so much. What would Sav do? I know the everything shower can only do so much. Trust me, I've been there. First of all, I'm really sorry that you're going through all of this at once. Sometimes life just feels like a domino effect, and it feels like when, one falls, everything else falls with it. And so I'm sorry that you're feeling so much stress and pressure and just like everything at all angles. I think that things, mindsets and philosophies that have helped me when I feel like nothing is going right and I just feel like I'm in a whack-a-mole like mindset just fighting for my freaking life is that, and this might not be the best way to look at things, but when stuff like this is happening, I'm always like, okay, it can't get worse from here. I know that sounds horrible, but listen, hear me out. Instead of sitting there being like, oh my God, like I just feel like so stressed and everything is going wrong, at least you know that good things are on the horizon. Does that make sense? Does it not? If I sound crazy, you guys can tell me, but that's just kind of like how I train myself to think. I train myself to think that if a lot of things are going wrong, then that means things are going to turn up pretty soon because they can only keep going wrong for so long. So at those times, that's what I tell myself. And for me, it works. Maybe it won't for you. Maybe you think I sound crazy. Maybe I do. I don't know. But I'm just saying that in those times where I'm like, everything is just like one after another, after another, after another, that's what I remind myself. I'm like, things can only go up from here. That's number one. Number two, I give myself the utmost amount of grace when I feel like everything is crashing down. Being extra gentle with myself, listening to my body, listening to my mind, whatever I needed to do. If I need to sleep in for an extra hour, I sleep in for an extra hour. If I need to, take the everything shower, it's not going to fix everything, I do that. If I need to go for a walk and get some fresh air, I do that. Every little leisurely luxury that I can have, I allow myself to have it if that's what I feel like I want and I need in that time frame. I also will take each task on one at a time, because when you look at everything at once, everything will feel like it is very overwhelming and feel like it's all encompassing and oh my God, it feels like you're drowning sometimes. Taking each task on one at a time and figuring out how you're going to handle each task does definitely help. Okay, thing number one, the rent being raised. How are we going to handle that? Okay, check. Having a conversation with your boyfriend and figuring out, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to stay here? Do we want to move? How are we going to figure this out with work? How are things going to be divided? How are we going to figure this out? That's task one. Task two, the crochet business. How am I going to handle that? What do I need to do for that? Let me write out a to-do list of things for that. Okay, check, so on and so forth. I find a lot of times writing things out is really helpful with this, because when you see everything on paper, it oftentimes makes it feel less overwhelming because you're seeing it. And when you stack things up in your mind, when it's like one after another, after another, after another, it seems really heavy and it seems like it is almost impossible to navigate through, because you're like, how do I deal with all of this at once? But when you write everything out and put everything on paper, more often than not, you'll realize, okay, I can actually tackle all of this. I can do all of these things. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I can tackle these things one at a time, or I can tackle these things first. This takes priority. Then I'm going to do this. It's figuring out how to navigate through it. And you will do that. You are capable of doing that. Also, the philosophy that has always helped me, I can get through anything that is thrown my way. I can get through. I am never going to be given a deck of cards that I cannot handle. I truly believe that. I know that that's like, some people believe that, some people don't like to believe that. I do, because it helps me get through things, because I'm like, okay, I can do this. This is something that I'm capable of doing hard things. This is not to say that this phase of life and this chapter is easy by any means, but it's not something that I cannot handle. Giving yourself those pep talks and reminding yourself, like, you can do this. This is hard, but you can do it. You will figure it out. Those are the things that I remind myself, like those just hard truths of like, yeah, this sucks, but I can do it and I'm going to move forward and I'm going to bounce back and I'm going to be better. Writing everything out so I can see it. Okay, this takes priority. I'm going to do this first and then I'll get to this, or this is first, this is second. Making a list of how you're going to figure things out and what's going to happen first and then second and third and fourth. And before you know it, you'll be at the end. That's how I like to tackle things, because it's the type A in me that I like to like physically check things off the box. Like, okay, I'm done with that. I did that. I can cross it out, big black X through it, like done. And then I can move on to the next thing. Again, give yourself a lot of grace during this time period. I feel like maybe what I'm saying might come off a little bit harsh, but all I'm trying to remind you of is that you are capable of getting through this. This is a hard time. Yes, you're stressed. Yes, you have reason to be stressed. No, what you're dealing with is not just, another walk in the park or another day. But you can do it and you can get through it and you can push through and navigate through this and come out better on the other side of it. I think everything happens in life for a reason. And I think that everything you're going through is going to make you stronger in the end. And again, I don't ever feel like you're given anything that you can't handle in life. Again, my personal opinion, that's how I navigate through things. And that's what helps me get through different facets and areas of life when I just feel overwhelmed. I also lean on people. Hayden and I, he'll lean on me, I'll lean on him. My friends will lean on each other. Having people to talk to, the support system to where you can just vent. Sometimes you just need to freaking vent. You need to vent to your friends. Yeah, life's fucking hard right now. Yeah, this shit sucks. And sometimes you just want to get it all out. Speak it. Just let it all out. And then get back to the task at hand, which is, figuring out how to navigate through it all. But I promise you, you are able to do this and you will. Also, I just want to say in regards to that, the taking out your birth control, that's obviously going to make everything feel a lot more heightened right now. Your emotions are all over the place and your hormones are all over the place and everything. Trust me, I know I've been there. And so I feel like I have room to kind of say that. And, everything might just feel really, really crazy right now. That's why it's really important to give yourself that grace. Take the little leisures and luxuries in life whenever you can. The sleeping in an extra hour if you can. The everything shower. I know it doesn't fix everything, but it definitely can help a little bit. The taking a walk, getting fresh air, going for a drive, spending time with your loved ones, anything that brings you comfort, do that. Anything that brings you happiness, do that. If it's watching your favorite TV show, if it's hanging out with pets, if you have any, wine nights with your friends, whatever it is, lean into those things. That way life just doesn't feel so daunting all the time. Because when you're looking and you're reminding yourself of everything that's going wrong, it's also easy to forget all of the good that you have too. So that's why you have to take the time to remind yourself of the good that you have. So that way you can be like, oh, okay, not everything is so daunting. Not everything is so scary. Like I can handle this. And, it reminds you of the things in life that you should be grateful for too. So I love you. You've got this. You can do it. It'll be okay. And with that being said, you guys, that is the last of the What Would Sav Do's for this month. I like to do these once a month. You guys can let me know if you want more or less or none or all or whatever it is that you're feeling. But that is going to be all for me today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Again, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you go follow the Instagram for the podcast, which is just My Thoughts Exactly Instagram. That way you are always kept up with everything that this podcast has to offer. And with that being said, you guys, I love you so much. I'll see you next week. And yeah, I love you. I'll see you there. Bye, guys.